Welcome back to Inside Texas with the Girl Herd. We are so excited. We have our assistant softball coach, Coach Zaleski, here joining us. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and we have so many questions to ask you. And congratulations on the recent national championship, by the way. Took the world by storm and really has catapulted the sport into a new realm. So just wanted to say congratulations. Before we get into all the questions and convo, though, we did want to say Inside Texas is running a special promo for new members, $1 until the Ohio State game. All of the inside news, recruitment, team news, everything you need to know about Texas football, all Texas sports, $1 until 8:30 for new members. Go ahead and join.
Do you want to give us a little bit of insight and intel into your role exactly for everybody that's listening who maybe doesn't know?
Sure. Yeah. I'm starting my fourth season, and I've been working primarily with our outfielders and helping sing with our offense with the hitting side of things, but also anyone that uses any short game. I help specifically with that too, our base running and a lot of team culture stuff has been my main focus here. But we also, what I like about how we do things here is it's kind of a holistic coaching approach where we all chime in, and it's okay to do that here. So we're not just stuck coaching only a certain part of it. We all kind of, if we see something, we say it, and we just want to get it right, whoever that is. So I do appreciate that.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned team culture. I want to hear about that because I have been following this team's journey the last 3 to 4 seasons. And again, being able to get over the hump and get to that championship and then win it. Talk about what that means in terms of your role with team culture and what the impact was in terms of the result of the season.
Yeah. We spend a lot of time on it, and I think that has been exactly what pushed us over the edge as far as like finally being able to win in the Champ Series and just have the season that we had. And I think if the culture wasn't strong, we don't get through some of the parts of the season that we had to get through, because it wasn't all beautiful this year. It wasn't all fun. It wasn't that. So I am grateful that they have let me start the year with, we don't even start with softball when we get on campus. We do what we call the Longhorn Olympics. And so we're competing at sports that have nothing to do with softball. And some of it is very ugly to watch because some of us are very good at softball, but you don't want to see us shoot a basketball or swim or things like that. But it just puts us in uncomfortable situations to root for each other and to get to know each other outside of softball and off the field. And that's how we start the year. And we go out to Duval Ranch and do some bonding out there. And that's where I really feel like you could tell how bought in this team was going to be this year. They came up with their own motto, the Fuel the Fire motto that they did for this year. And that's where they came up with it as a team. Like the seniors had been working on it over the summer and then presented it to the team at Duval Ranch. And they all had their input to make it be something that the team was bought in for. Like instead of it just being a couple people's idea, it was everyone's idea. And so I think that helped create the buy-in as everyone, they had a slideshow ready for us to present it to the coaches and explained what Fuel the Fire meant and what their fire was. And it was like buy-in to the culture and the standards and not just some of the time, all the time. All of that is kind of like a brief thing, but it finished. What got me was what it finished with the last out of the World Series last year.
Yep.
And it just like I'm getting emotional talking about
it. Yeah. Hey, look, we've had this conversation a little bit like right after the Natty. We talked about how emotional it is as well. Like even as fans, obviously we all bleed burn orange. But it was very exciting to see the team and that culture. And you're right, like you could see it on the field. You could feel how bonded they were, how everything was. So like you getting emotional, of course, plays right into that as well. And we love it. You could feel it.
And also just realizing we couldn't do it ourselves. Like we're very good at coaching softball, and we can help create these situations for culture moments, but also brought in Dean Wellams and Eric Thompson. They both kind of have different companies and do their own things and help us in different ways. But having them as our resources was huge. And we read a couple different books, had book club over Christmas, had a book in the spring that we did. And so they bought into community service, which I think ties into the culture thing. And there I could talk the full hour probably about the team culture piece. And
I love it. If I remember, I feel like the saying is like, how you do one thing is how you do all things. And so you can tell that the detail, the preparation, everything leading up. One thing that I was wondering during y'all's run was, first year SEC, right? Very difficult conference, and you guys kind of went through it. It was not perfect or pretty. I want to hear about how you all were able to utilize that in terms of the postseason run. And, that can do two things. Like pressure will either drive confidence or it will drive you down. So I'd love to hear more about, what happened there.
Right. Yeah. I think it did both for us along the way. And that's what made it so good for us in the end. And I think like in the Big 12, yes, the Big 12 was tough. There were good teams, and some of those teams OU moved over with us, and that was one of the top ones. But every series was tough. And I don't know that we were necessarily used to getting honestly like punched in the gut every weekend. And the preparation, the amount of just focus and energy and all of that side of it, like I don't know that we were prepared for what that did to like just how exhausted the team may have felt throughout it. And I think they're just having to play that level of opponent every weekend obviously prepares you for that moment, but at the same time, it can also wear you down. And you have to remember that you're playing pretty much a World Series before the World Series that's just extended. And so just can you keep pushing through that? And that was the grit and the resilience and everything that we kept preaching that they were having to buy into. But at times, like it also felt like our world was ending in the softball world when you go up to OU and get swept there, when you get run ruled to bow out of the SEC tournament. Like those moments felt like the world was ending and things were tough. It was tough. And it was moments where you got to have those life lessons and help them as humans, which then helps you as a team again, pull back together. But the OU sweep was like, we thought it couldn't get lower from there until we got run ruled by A&M. But like you get swept at A&M, or I'm sorry, you get swept at OU, and then you go to get on the bus and the bus doesn't start. And then you have to wait in the parking lot while every Sooner and human drives by yelling at the Texas bus. And then you get on the bus and you find out Betty Rue died, the kangaroo that was like on our social media that was Reese's pet. It was just like everything happened. We're like, what is happening? So I think it was something that we brought up going into the final part of the final 3-game series against Tech at the World Series was if we had to get swept at OU, if we had to get run ruled by A&M, if we had to lose at Mississippi State, if we had to lose, if all of those things had to happen for us to be prepared for this moment, we would do it all over again. Even though in that moment it felt like the season is ending. What are we doing? And so just controlling that spiral and allowing that to be our strength in the end was just a beautiful thing to see.
I love that you say that. I'm at a conference right now, and today I went to a session, and I'm in construction. And so they're talking about women's sports and designing facilities for female athletes. And they talk about the importance in women's sports of the community surrounding a team. And you just talk about all these challenges that you have back to back to back. It's like a snow. Can you talk about the community surrounding our Texas softball team and what that means to us and how it kind of carries you guys through a season?
Yeah, the community and the fan support and the crowd in the stadium and the people on the road, like it just was so much stronger even this year than it has been before. And I think that also ties into like the team buying into community service in the fall. You make those connections and you grow those relationships, and then they start showing up for you. And just how big, I mean, NIL is part of that because the girls are having to post things on social media and engage with the fans more. And I think like for how our social media following grew, it wasn't just them showing up through social, it was them showing up at stadiums and the girls getting to be part of community events. Like that part was huge. And when we were at our weakest points, the fans were there to help, and like to get through the Clemson series for super regionals, how we did, like without the fans there believing still, like all of that was very big for us. And even just at the World Series, not just because it was packed and we weren't sure what to expect because it was finally not Oklahoma playing in Oklahoma, but it was even louder than I think it was in the past. But then to see the the totals for
Numbers.
viewership on the for it to be watched on television, like that part is so exciting. And I love where this game is going and what it's doing right now.
Me too. It gives me goosebumps. Oh my goodness. I love that. We have so many more questions from the fans actually, but before we get to that, first, let's hear a word from our sponsor, Luxe Kitchen and Bath.
This video is brought to you by Luxe Kitchen and Bath. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook, and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring to life that dream vision of your special home. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team provides full remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today. Or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get a free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's LUXE. Or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Link in the description.
Coach Zaleski, you ready for the fan questions?
I'm ready.
All the participation, which we love.
Yes.
Yes. We asked the fans, and I love this. So this is a big one, and I think it kind of is a perfect segue from the culture, the mindset. Mia Scott, everybody's so curious. Who will replace her firepower?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be one person's job necessarily. She's a tough one to replace. Someone that plays 9 positions in one game and can hit from the right and left side and just do everything that she does. But I think having Vivi back will be huge. And so especially she has the experience and what she was able to gain, kind of just, she got to almost just be a student coach for us this year. And for her to see the game from that side of it and how she was still able to contribute, it just amplified her leadership capability too. And so I think her, again, that was one of the things that we felt like we had to go through to get to that moment, was her do that and have to find a way to help the way that she helped. But I think Vivi will be huge there, and we'll be counting on a few freshmen that are kind of Mia-like how she showed up as a freshman. We have a strong freshman class coming in, so we didn't have to hit the portal as hard as some schools do. We use it to kind of plug holes versus to do our main recruiting. And so we have some portal kids coming in, one specifically to help with offensive production, but not necessarily the defensive side of it in the positions that Mia filled. So it'll mainly be just Vivi being healthy, which allows some other people to shift back to other positions, and some freshmen coming in.
Love it. Yeah. And watching Mia at third baseman, I mean, truly otherworldly with the plays. It was great. All right.
I know, nice segue into the next question, I feel like. And how is Vivian progressing from her knee injury that you have with her coming out of the post-injury, and what combinations will be explored for an infield rotation?
Yeah, Vivi's progressing well. She's a hard worker, and so she's been definitely putting in the work, and so she's progressing healthy, and we're looking forward to her, being back. And we're looking at the kids coming in are very strong at several different positions, whether it's infield or outfield. And Leanne being able to step in and having filled the shortstop role, and Stewie filled that role. There's so many different combinations that we can explore, and that's what's exciting about the fall. We have that window of fall team practices that we'll get to use and have the scrimmages, but there's going to be a lot of just kind of messing around with it and just making sure that Vivi is full go healthy when she comes back before we use her, but she's progressed well and she's a worker. So I trust that she's doing everything she needs to do to be ready.
There was a lot of pitching questions. We honed them in a little bit. Of course, everyone wants to know, Mac left, like, what do we have for number 2 after Tegan? I know you probably can't tell us too much, but how's it looking?
I think it looks good. And I don't mind, like, kind of even just looking at the roster that is returning, like Sit has pitched in big moments and has an arsenal of pitches that is nasty and hard to prepare for as an offense trying to hit off her. And then Cam, our freshman from last year, came in and pitched in big moments and did well. And I think that experience is just going to amplify what she's going to be able to do moving forward. And her just kind of knowing that we did graduate Mac and graduate Soph. I think that just kind of makes her hungry that she got to experience the World Series and pitch in those moments. Not having had probably, I'm guessing, the amount of innings she wanted, I think that has made her ready to go and lit a fire under her. And we have a freshman coming in that's a Texas kid that has had a very successful high school career and doing well in select ball. Hannah Wells is a several-time state champion, is used to playing on our field because of that. And we expect her to come in and help on the mound and defend and hit. And we also have a kid out of the portal, a Texas kid that was at Texas Tech that didn't see a lot of innings, but just wanted the lefty to come in and just give everyone a different look. So who's going to be the number 2? We'll see. But we do have a strong staff, and I think that's kind of where it's kind of headed toward anyway, is like a staff approach. And so we definitely have people with different looks, with different strengths that will keep it rolling for us.
All right. Everyone wants to know what are the thoughts going into next year in terms of repeat. That's what we want.
We're trying to win multiples back to back already.
Yeah. Of course, that's, I feel like that's going to be every team's goal. Like that has that as a realistic outcome for the season. A lot of the team, like that's what we are going to be working toward. And now that we've done it, we have people that have the experience, that have played in it and lost, that have played in it and won. And I know we graduated a huge part of the roster that was key to that. And I think that we have also shown that our freshmen have come in and been ready, and we've used the portal, I think, in the right way to bring in people that are ready. But we're going to expect to end up back there and be fighting for it again. And I think that the experience there and having won it can either make you hungry to keep doing that, or it can also put pressure on and a target on your back to like have to fight everyone off. And I think that it's going to be both, and it's a new team with new people, and how are we going to all fit together, and what is that feel going to be, so that we know how to navigate that. And that's just kind of the part of it, is like the team last year having lost it, and they made that video that showed them losing it as the video to start the year to make them hungry. And so are we going to still be hungry, or is it like, oh, we won? No. And so if that's something that we have to adjust and navigate through, because you never know when you get 20 something females back together from all over. And this is going to be people that have won it, people that are new, people that have transitioned in from other schools. So it's blending that culture back together, and we know what we want. And so how are we going to navigate it to make sure that that's the direction that we head is going to be the fun part. But our purpose to the year is going back and winning it. That's our thoughts.
All right. Have our pitchers been taught how to throw an intentional walk? The fans were really into this question and wanting to know the tea.
That I think that is going to be something on every coach's bullpen practice this year because of that experience. And bless Reese Atwood for gambling in that moment and betting on herself. And I love that for her. And she put in a lot of work to on the mental side of the game and approach side of the game and confidence side of the game. And for it to get to show up in a moment like that was huge. But I think that intentional walks and throwing pitch outs will probably be on every coach's practice plan this coming year so that everyone is ready for that moment.
It's gonna be interesting.
All right, so this was another one, and people want to know, looking like, where are we recruiting our coaches more at travel tournaments, camps, and what's this could be a variable answer, but what age is best to begin playing travel ball?
Yeah, there's probably differing opinions on the best age to begin travel ball. I think it's great to start playing young, but as far as the travel ball side of it, it doesn't have to be as young as I feel like a lot of people are doing. I prefer people that play multiple sports. I want an athlete, and that I think that kind of shows in how we were able to shift around the roster this year and people playing multiple positions. They weren't just a shortstop or just a catcher or just an outfielder, and so being able to play multiple sports, to be an athlete, to then get to hone in at softball at a later age. But we're recruiting at travel tournaments pretty often all summer long and most of the fall recruiting window that we have. But that also opens the door for camps too. And if we're going to a high school game, it's normally not just going blind. You're going to watch someone that you have targeted. And if you see other things at that, well, then that's just a bonus. But I think we kind of spread it everywhere, and we host our own camps and we go work camps at other places and tournaments and things like that. So it's kind of all over the board. But the travel tournaments in the summer are big, and normally like 18 and under, you're watching your committed kids, and there's some younger kids playing up that have been playing at that level, just they're that talented and been able to do it. And 16 and under, there's still some committed kids you're watching and kind of catching your eye. And 14 and under is getting the kids on the list, but that's about as young as we go as far as like the travel side of that, if that ties into what age. But yeah.
All right, NIL thoughts and how coaches are managing it.
Whew, that one's a tough one. I think there is so much that's good about it and so much that may not be being used the best way. But I think that NIL is great for the athletes. And I think it makes sense for the reason that it was created. And I think it's just kind of, we refer to it as the wild, wild west right now, as far as trying to navigate what that looks like and the direction it's headed and things that are changing in the landscape of it and how to manage it. I think it's just it's a changing landscape that we just have to be ready for whatever comes with us and whatever decisions are made by NCAA and legislation that's out there and things. And I'm just trying to keep up with it as far as how it keeps changing. But I think it can be a good thing, and it can be done well and used right. I think it needs to be managed. I think that they're on the right track to managing it better, but until like there are loopholes that are being exploited at the moment, that again, it's something that's new and we're learning as we go. And so I think it's just something that once someone finds that loophole and exploits it, then we have to manage it and correct it so that it can keep being a benefit to the athletes and used in the way that I would hope that it was created to be used.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. All right. We've got 2 questions left to ask you in this little rapid fire thing that we've got going on here. Are there any plans by the NCAA to look at the obstruction rule, another controversy, that we saw this year?
Appendix G. Everyone's no, sorry. I think that, of course, the amount that it came up at the World Series specifically and the amount of people watching it created a lot of buzz on social media and within the coaching community. And so I I know that the rules committee is constantly meeting and trying to adjust and fix things and they listen to coaches' opinions and the coaches listen to other coaches' opinions as far as things that are happening in the game and the college landscape and how it has affected games, and especially with the amount of coverage it got. I'm sure that the rules committee is on it and trying to figure out how to make it again work for the way it needs to work. And I think that it was being called the way that the wording was telling it to be called. And so it's just managing how do you make it work so that it's done in the right way. And so I'm just going to leave it at the rules committee is probably working on it, and we will see what direction it goes. And at our coaches convention in December, they always have a rules session. I can imagine it's going to be in the bigger room and it'll be filled.
Rules and everything.
That's a hard one to answer, but man, the number of people, I mean, of course it was huge. You're right. Like it caught wildfire everywhere. So it will be interesting to see. All right. Last question from our fans. How much will it change college softball if the new professional league is successful?
Well, I think it will just give more players something to aspire to outside of, because right now I think the league is doing great, and there have been leagues that have been there in the past, and there's been, I think, between the pro league and the Olympics, the pro league growing, the Olympics being back, I think that gives college athletes something to still be playing for versus this being the end, because only a very select few get to do something career-wise past that. But I think that the league is being run right and done well, and it's selling out crowds everywhere it's been. But so is college softball. I think college softball is also growing on its own, and it's just it's the sport that's like taking off right now. And so I think the professional league will help college softball, but I think how well college softball is doing will also help the professional league. And again, just what NIL is doing with just the social media piece, as far as the community seeing female athletes and specifically softball, since that's what we're talking about. There's how they're getting to see them as humans, not just athletes, and then they turn them on and get to watch them as athletes too. And it's just the amount of people interested in them and just how they're cheering for everyone at the games, and they want Mia Scott, they want Sam Landry, they want all these people, and Edenfield and all these people out at these games, because I've been getting to be part of that this summer. It's just it's incredible to see the amount of people rooting for these women getting to play softball, hopefully as their career eventually, like post college, because it's been where it can't just be your career. You have to have other jobs that somehow let you get to leave for the summer or prepare for it to get to leave for the summer then. And so hopefully it grows enough to get to be a career post college for however long for some of these ladies.
Yes, a long way from 96, right? That's whenever it became an Olympic sport. And there was actually a doctor who had to leave her doctor job to go play softball because it was the first chance that she had. And so now seeing 2025, I mean, the way they package the College World Series, you want to keep following these women. And I get pre-sad every single year because I'm like, oh no, we're getting down to the last games and you just want to keep going. And so I think that's what the Pro League serves for what you're saying. It continues their stories, gives them a platform. I think as the sport continues to grow, more platforms is great. Coach Zaleski, this has been such a pleasure. It is no wonder your impact on these women. I could truly run through a wall for you. Your outlet, your passion, just everything you brought to this. We really appreciate the time. We know you're busy. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. And hook 'em.
Yes.